Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're in week 4, folks, and this is the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast. And it's on 48 teams battling for the gold, battling for that change and that money and that big old Shaq Thompson jersey, winning them prizes all around the league. And now we're going to talk fantasy football, always with a little Panther twist. And I'm here with my friends, my good brother from another mother, Mel Mayock. What's up, my man?
Oh, after a 2-week hiatus, man, it is so good to be back. I'm doing double duty tonight, man. Fantasy football, and then our normal Tuesday night podcast coming up at 10 o'clock. So joining us, tuning in now. Come back a little bit later, too. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Looking forward to it.
All right, we're going to try to break down the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge. We'll spend, a little bit of the show talking about the actual what happened this past week, what to look for coming up in the week ahead. So we'll focus league specific, but we're also going to talk fantasy football in general. For people that are not in the league, you'll learn a lot in the process too. So be sure to go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com, hit the podcast, subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, whatever your podcast is, whether it be even just an RSS feed. You can also go check out a new revamped layout of our homepage featuring all the latest Panther news from the fan perspective.
Yeah, man, that looks good, by the way. Great job.
I think I got sick of updating stuff, and so I tried to make it so it was just a little bit cleaner, and it did it on its own. So, and I did it like an hour ago. Talk about impulsive professor. Who needs impulsive Mel?
That's it.
All right, let's jump into this, Mel. What are we going to start with this week?
Well, it's week 3 is in the books. This was the last week that there are no buys whatsoever. So for all of you guys out there watching, this is the first week that teams are on a bye. New England and Tennessee are the 2 teams that have early buys this week. So if you have Tom Brady, if you have LeGarrette Blount, if you have Gronkowski, if you have, as I know the commissioner, Big Play J-Ray has both of those players. So this would be a good week to play J-Ray. But don't forget, don't be that guy that doesn't check your roster and the games start and your teams are on a bye. You got to go check it out.
I know I played a guy that had who did he start? It was a running back that was inactive for the game last week.
Well, we actually had a team this week in the Mills League that had Reggie Wayne in the starting lineup. He's not even on a roster.
Ouch. Speaking of the Mills League, dominant performance from Mel's Gurley, man. 177.5. I like the T-shirt, by the way. How did you achieve this stunning score?
Well, Peyton Manning showed up and played, right? And Steve Smith came up big time for me this week. So that was awful nice. And then, I had a well-rounded roster. I mean, the only player that did not really perform up to snuff for me was my man Todd Gurley, but it was his first time back. He gave me 1.5 points. But
did you start him?
Yeah, I did.
Nice. So you got 42 points from Steve Smith. Adrian Peterson wasn't so shabby either. 31 points from him. Your defense, man, 19 points from the defense. 17.5. It was your lowest scorer, Todd Gurley. Even Macklin had 25 points. Tough get for one. What is it? One stew over the Kuechly nest. Who that was a tough draw for him. He scored 154 points. He would have beat everybody in the league.
Yeah, he was the second highest scorer in the league this week and lost.
That stinks. Sorry for you, buddy. I had Randall Cobb who showed out 31.5 points. So big news there. And if you just look around that league, can you tell us? Let's see. Let's look at the standings of the Mills League.
Yeah, I mean, Rochester Rusty Nails, that guy is – there's 2 teams that are 3-0, and there's one team that's 0-3. But actually 2 teams that are 0-3 and 2 that are 3-0. And Rochester Rusty Nails, man, that team looks pretty unbeatable. He's been dominant. He won the high score in that opening week, if you recall. He won that road sign, which was a great gift for the high score of the week. And then He's just been dominating every week. So he's undefeated. So is Sand Diamond 1 is undefeated. And then
you got 4 2-1 teams in that league. So it seems like a real close top tier. So you've got 6 teams that are above 500.
Yeah.
And then you've got 6 teams that are below 500.
Yeah.
Is that
and
right?
Yeah, that's right. And I fall into the 2-1 category. So trying to survive.
Not a lot of parity in that one. Is that it looks like those right now you got 6 teams that are trying to pull away in that league. Let's jump over to that was Mills, right?
That was the Mills League. Yep.
So do you have any other updates from it for us?
Well, I know in each of the other in the Muhammad League, there's 2 teams that are 3-0 and 2 teams that are 0-3. Same thing for the Menor League, 2 that are 3-0, 2 that are 0-3. And then in the Rucker League, they're the ones that are just a little bit different. They got 2 teams that are 3-0 and just 1 team that's 0-3. But they're all the rest kind of bunched right up in the middle there.
I'm going to see if I can show you guys this. Is that we'll take a look at the standings of this is the Mentor League right here. What we've got: Green Eggs and Cam 3-0. Not so in the East Division. From top to bottom, 3-0. Green Eggs and Cam, 2-1. Not So Lazy Susans. Can't Funch This at 2-1 as well. Then
by the way, Can't Funch This replied back to a league-wide email talking smack about beating the champ. So a little bit of smack talking going. I like that. Yep.
It's all right. I wouldn't poke the bear that is Not So Lazy Susans because she's a rather dominant fantasy football force. Then you got My Dog 8, You're Vic, and All About the Benjamins are 1-2. Got an 0-3. There's 2 0-3 teams in that league. Aussie Superfly.
Click the scoreboard on that. I believe All About the Benjamins and My Dog 8, You're Vic had a pretty epic battle this week, if I remember correctly.
All right. So, yes, 2 points. All About the Benjamins pulled it out by 2 points. Dave, I think that's Dave Palm. Is that Dave Palmies?
Must be.
No, Brian Palmies. That's Brian Palmies. Sorry.
Yeah, Brian Palmies is all hell nipple short.
Here's a quick box score of that game right there. What you got is, let's see, who pulled away? Where did he win? Who was the dud? The dud was his kicker. My Dog H.R. Vic had Matt Prater, no points.
Oh,
how do you have no points from a kicker? Didn't they score touchdowns?
Well, you know what? In my opening week, when I had Vinatieri for the Colts, he gave me 0 points, and I lost by just a few. So kickers make a difference, man. They really do. I can't believe.
All right, let's talk about. Let's pick a storyline out of this league right here. Out of this matchup, I think we can find some cool fantasy football storylines. How about that? That Steve Smith, AJ Green, blow for blow, 42.5 points for Steve Smith, AJ Green. It was like a battle of these 2 guys, and they scored like 80% of those points in like the last 7 minutes of the game. Am I right?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. You know, in a different fantasy league, I had Drew Brees and Tony Romo as my 2 quarterbacks. Both got hurt last week. Who did I pick up? Andy Dalton, who was the feeder to AJ Green, gave me 35 points this week. It was unbelievable. So that game was just a fantasy fest.
All right. Also, kind of storylines here. Justin Forsett, slow start. I've got him on one of my fantasy football teams. What's going on there?
It's been pretty rough for him. I don't think. And that was one reason I steered away from Forsett is it's a brand new system. Anytime a one-year wonder running back goes into a brand new system with Kubiak leaving and going to Denver, a new offensive system coming in, I think it's just taking time. He's a good running back. It's just taking time to figure it out.
My Dog 8 Year Vic has also gotten a lot of production out of Larry Fitzgerald. Leads the league, I believe, in receiving touchdowns. Do you think he keeps this up?
You know, he, along with Carson Palmer, have been two of the most pleasant surprises in fantasy football. If you picked them up late in the draft, I don't see how he can keep that up throughout the year. But hey, you know, who knows? Who's to say? He's finding the fountain of youth. He's been a steal. I've been putting him in my FanDuel leagues. You get him for cheap.
All right. Well, you know, another guy on that I want to know about Marshawn Lynch is right now. You know, I think they are looking at his hamstring or MIR on his hamstring or something like that. I heard he's listed as questionable.
It started with his calf because he went into the game last week with a sore calf, and he was actually late coming out onto the field because he was getting extra treatment. But then it went up. You know, sometimes when you get something with your leg, it moves to a different part. So I think it has spread into his hamstring. So yeah, it's a little dicey for him next coming couple weeks. Fred Jackson, it's a good waiver wire pickup.
Yeah, that is actually a good idea. I might go do that when we get done with the podcast. Here's not so lazy Susan's got delivered her first loss, close one, about 17 points. Looks like Heath Miller turned out a dud because Roethlisberger went. So basically, Roethlisberger sankied her ship.
Yeah, and the question is, who's on the bench?
Did you get that? Because she's got Bishop Sankey.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. That's pretty middle of the road there, but I'll take it.
I wonder what she's going to do at quarterback for that team. She's going to have to
who's on her bench?
Let's give it a look. If we can look at teams.
Susan, if you're out there, tweet us out. Let us know what you're going to do for quarterback going forward.
Tell us what is your bench player.
If you're not out there, what the heck's wrong with you? What you doing?
No doubt. While we're doing that, Mel, what else do you have for us? What other kind of information about the league can you give us?
Well,
some insight
something that I thought was pretty cool. You know, I like to look at. I'm gonna talk about two things here. One is the top 5 fantasy scores of the week this past week. We had AJ Green, who you already talked about. He brought in 47 points. That is unbelievable. And something that's a bad news for the Panthers, 2 out of the 5 top fantasy football scorers were Atlanta Falcons. The number 2 scorer was Devontae Freeman, who came in at 46.5 points.
You know what? I'm ready to talk about this on the show tonight. I don't think we're going to have time to do a lot of talk about the Falcons, but I think it was Panther Nasty who said that win was some BS. Is that everybody's talking how we beat teams without Drew Brees, without these players with no quarterbacks. They beat a Cowboys team that has a defense that is hobbled, that doesn't have Greg Hardy, that doesn't have that big guy that they drafted in the first or second round that they took over. And they don't have a quarterback. They don't have their number 1 receiver. They don't have their number 1 cornerback. Talk about a team killed by injuries, and they still were getting beat down for, like run over. So it looks like teams can run the ball against the Falcons. So what you need to do is there's a simple formula and recipe for that, and that's just keep it out of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones' hands.
Yeah.
That's my idea. For Susan, she's got Marcus Mariota, who's on a bye.
Ooh. So you got Roethlisberger, who's hurt, and Mariota's on a bye. So for anybody in Susan's league,
there's some trade bait right there.
There's some trade bait, and if you can only have 2 quarterbacks, I believe. I think the roster limit only lets you have 2, so she may have to drop one of those 2.
She might as well just drop Roethlisberger. Nobody's going to pick him up unless you're going to try to grab him and stash him for the –
If you have a quarterback with a bye round or a bye week late in the season.
It would have to be like week 12. And when do they stop? They got to stop.
He's only out 4 to 6 weeks. He's only out 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at another league. Let's see. We haven't done the Caddyshack C3 Rucker. We'll go through blast
Hey,
this one.
let me finish the top 5 scores for the week. We had AJ Green,
right.
Devontae Freeman, Steve Smith, KG number 89, brought in 42.5 points, helped me win this week. And then Julio Jones came in 4th with 37 points. And then Badman Andy Dalton, the red-headed terror in Cincinnati, came in 5th.
On my bench. On my bench, and I lost this week. I am 0-3 in my fantasy league, the one that I've been playing in the longest. And it's because week 1 AP didn't get started, and week 2 I got blasted. But week 3, no Ben Roethlisberger. So my quarterback got me 1 point or something like that.
Yeah, that'll kill you.
Another name that isn't on that list that is really awesome and put up a lot of points even without a quarterback was Le'Veon Bell. What a great week by him as well. 136 yards and a touchdown or something like that.
And it was well balanced. It wasn't just rushing. It was rushing and receiving. And in the C3 league, receiving matters because you get a half a point for every reception. And I believe he had like 7 receptions, something like that.
Now, I want to go over to the C3 Rucker League, and you don't want to mess with anybody in this league in the big playoffs. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the 12 teams. Even more than that. I only see, am I missing a team? Only 1 to 2 teams scored below 100 points in that league.
That's legit right there. And one of them was a 96.
Yeah. The lowest score in that league was 82.5, right? But you're talking about a team that scored 166, a team that scored 154, and 150. Those are some powerhouse teams right there. Jay Ray, league commissioner, the Caddyshack, scored 150. We don't expect him to score that again next week. So you got to love to see who's going up against him. In fact, we can probably see right here who plays Caddyshack next week is Funches. Will you see it? I don't see it. That is C.O. Varnes. C.O. Varnes, team New England Panthers fan, has got a good run right there. We can do a quick preview of this match. This is going to show you what's going to go down with the buys this week. Is right now it looks like Caddyshack has made some moves. He put in Stafford, Matthew Stafford against Seattle. That's not a good idea, brother. I'm going to have to override that one.
Trade date right there, buddy.
He needs a tight end. He's going to be shopping the waiver wire for a tight end. Julio Jones. He's got to play Julio Jones and Greg Olsen. Good luck with that. And the Cardinals defense looks like really interesting matchups. Okay, last league of the week we have to do or just talk about was Muhammad, right?
Which brings up.
Go ahead.
I believe it's the Muhammad League where the Charlotte License to Khalil team, who actually won a big prize this last week, came in at a record low 73.5 points. That's the lowest point total for the week. And the prize for this week, I don't think you don't have a shirt there with you, do you? But it's an Ice Up Sun shirt because you got to ice up for coming in last place for the week.
I want to call him right now.
Do it, man.
He never answers my phone calls. It's one of those things and that's how I am too. Let's leave him a voicemail.
Oh,
okay, let's do that. Can you tell us anything about the standings of Muhammad League while I do this?
In quite honesty, no, I really can't.
Well, I can. If you can see my board right here, let me see if you can see this. what we got is we've got 1, 2, 3-0 teams there. We've got
You should have 2 0-3 teams.
Yep.
Yep.
All
and then
right.
everybody else is just kind of hunkered down in the middle there.
In the middle. Okay, so let me see if we can get old Andrew. What's his team name?
Charlotte Licensed to Khalil, which is pretty daggone good name.
How many points?
73.5.
Hello, you've reached Andrew Medlin. Sorry I missed your call. Please leave your name, number, and a brief message, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Hope you have a great day.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
73 points. Charlotte Licensed to Khalil. You've won a prize, and that prize is to ice up, son. This is a message from the C3 podcast, the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast. You can hear it on the podcast.
Nice. Ice up, son.
All right. Well, okay. Let's blow through some kind of talks about fantasy. Do you have any more things about the league specifically you want to talk about? Because we got 8 more minutes.
Well, I'll just keep it real brief here. You got 4 commissioners in the league. You got Jay Ray, you got Grant Hughes, you got the Big Daddy commish, Ken, Dye, and myself. I'm 2-1. Justin and Grant are both 3-0, which is pretty impressive. Hats off to you guys. And then Ken is just kind of laying back in the weeds, ready to pounce, getting off to a slow start at 0-3. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Just wanted to bring that out. But hey, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, right, Ken?
Yeah. I want to talk about. Let's just talk about one division specifically. To close the show, and that AFC North, right? Or is it the East? Is it the East or the North that has the Bills in it? I always get it confused. East. AFC East. Tell me what we have here is we've got some strange dynamics that lend to some interesting fantasy football plays. What we have here is we've got a struggling Miami Dolphins team. They have underperformed to this point in the season, being beat by Jacksonville. There's been no fantasy value at Tannehill. Jordan Cameron has had limited fantasy value. Lamar Miller near zero. What do you do, Mel, if you've got fantasy stock on that Miami team? Can they turn it around? I mean, how can you sell? Who's buying? You just got to just bench them?
Well, you know what that brings up, since we're running out of time, one last point I wanted to bring up, which ties into that pretty well, is the waiver wire. Who's available out there? So I've kind of gone out and I've looked to see who's available. I tell you, a hot name that's available from the Bills, because it looks like Shady McCoy's not going to be playing this week, is Carlos Williams. So if you go get the Florida State rookie, who I was pretty high on in the draft, Carlos Williams, very, very hot commodity out there. So if you can dump Lamar Miller and pick up Carlos Williams, right? Other names out there is Devontae Freeman. He's not active in all the other 4 leagues, and he was the number 2 scorer in the league this past week. Go pick him up if he's out there. And this week, do you know what the contest is this week, Professor?
Tell me.
The Delhomme contest.
Oh, that's right.
The team with the most interceptions. And because it's 4 leagues where everybody's got, there's Cam Newton's active in every league, for example, it's the active quarterback and your inactive quarterback. It's the combination of the two. The team with the most interceptions actually wins a nice little prize. So on the waiver wire, I think if you want to win that prize, which is an autograph book by Joe Minzer about the Carolina Panthers inaugural season, which is a great gift, go pick up Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. He's got to play the Panthers.
Right. He's
going
to throw a lot of interceptions.
See,
it all comes together.
It does. You
Takes a
do
minute.
make
Takes
sense.
a minute. Right?
I was trying to think of this about that AFC East is what we have too is Eric Decker, I believe, is kind of hurt, right, for the Jets. You've gotten some real fantasy value from Brandon Marshall. Surprising points come in out of Ryan Fitzpatrick and Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory is a legit fantasy almost. I think he's going to be an RB1 this year. My question is this, is with Eric Decker hurt, is there more fantasy value in they have two, this is their backup receivers. Devin Smith is out. I think he's like injured still. He's third on the depth chart. Behind Brandon Marshall is Jeremy Curley, and behind Eric Decker is Quincy Enunwa. I don't know who Enunwa. I don't Enunwa him, but
I have a new idea. I have a new idea who that is.
It really, there's got to be some hidden fantasy value on this team because this defense.
Curley is a player, man. Curley is a pretty damn good player. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities, but maybe now he will.
Right.
I like Curley.
Is there might be some stock there in the Jets because I think one of the things to consider is when you have such a good defense, your offense gets a lot of opportunities. So I don't know if maybe J Ray's watching and maybe there is a tight end on this team. I don't know if Cumberland or Kellen Davis, we'd have to kind of jump into their stats. But I like to think of this as looking for bad teams with bad quarterbacks for the tight end value. And let's talk about Monday Night Football last night. Today is Tuesday. Yeah, Monday Night Football last night. Kansas City Chiefs struggled mightily, in my opinion. What'd you think about that game? What'd you get out of it fantasy football-wise?
Well, I was in one league. I was trailing 35 points to a team, and I had both Aaron Rodgers and James Starks. But he had Randall Cobb. So I ended up losing by like 6 points. Aaron Rodgers gave me 44 points, but he kept throwing it to Randall Cobb. But as far as tight ends go to bad quarterbacks, I wouldn't necessarily say Alex Smith is a bad quarterback, but I think he's pretty middle of the road. Travis Kelce is one heck of a tight end. If he's available to anybody, I would go get him.
Right. We got a question in from Norman D. Invasion. Great fantasy football name.
Great.
He asked if there's been any trades so far in the league. I've seen a lot of proposals. Let me see if I can look at and he's also asking, I'll let you take this question, Mel, as I look this up, is he's asking, he's got Gronk on a bye. Are there any targets tight end wise that maybe we're going to see some hidden value that you can get on the waiver wire?
Well, one tight end that I really like a lot is Charles Clay up in Buffalo. And he's not on a lot of rosters, but he's a pretty damn good tight end. So, normally, Invaders, I'd go out there and check and see if Charles Clay is available for the Bills.
I don't know if I'm trying to see if I haven't looked up. That's a good question. We'll look that up for you and get back. We've got it looks like most added and drop players. Let's look at this. Most added and drop players according to Fantasy Football ESPN. If I can sort. This Suddenlink internet's got to get a little faster, folks. I swear that they're throttling me to try to get me to upgrade again. Austin Sinafarian Jenkins still out, right?
Yep.
Most added players for tight end for you, Eric Ebron, Crockett Gilmore.
Who is questionable this week. He's a great pickup, but he's questionable this week with an injury, so be careful there.
Jordan Reed, Jared Cook. How are people adding Tyler Eifert? There's no way.
Name you said just a moment ago, Eric Ebron. I think he's somebody that's only going to get better and better. He's from Greensboro, North Carolina, baby. Unfortunately, went to Chapel Hill, so I won't hold that against him too badly. But he's a good up-and-coming young player.
So there you go. Maybe Jared Cook is an option right there. He had 9 points fantasy last week. Not bad to sub in.
Do you see what Charles Clay had?
Charles Clay. Hold on. Is he he's a tight end?
Tight end for the Bills, yeah.
He's not on this list. I don't think. Clay.
I think he.
Oh yeah, here he is. Oh yeah, last week for Buffalo, he had 14.6 points.
Imagine
There's
getting
the
that
answer right there.
There you go.
That's the answer, or is that? Yeah. So that I like that answer. All right, Mel. It's 9:30. We did an overview of the leagues and the standings. We know what the prize is going to be. Is there any? You said check your rosters. The bye week start this week. We left a message for our team who's down in the dumps. The Charlotte, was it Charlotte Khalil? What was it?
Charlotte licensed to Khalil.
Charlotte licensed to Khalil. My buddy, my good friend. He's busy. He's a busy man, but I can't wait till he gets our message. Any last fantasy football advice before we go?
Yep. If you're playing me this week, just put everybody that's good on the bench. But if you're playing anybody else, hey, just make sure that you are checking out who you're playing. You know, this time of the year, you're starting to get some good results as to what teams are good, what teams are not. Start looking at Pro Football Focus, who has the best run defenses, who doesn't. So make sure that you're putting a little bit of thought into who's on the bench. Don't leave somebody in there that's inactive. Don't leave somebody in there that's questionable. Go out to the waiver wire. If you're out there and you are having trouble and you don't know how to add a player, shoot me an email, shoot the professor an email. We're happy to help you. We're happy to help anybody out that needs it.
All right, that's the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast. My advice to you is stay away. Stay far, far away from CJ Anderson. He's ruining my life. All right, the next thing is Ronnie Hillman. I hate you too. I hate the Denver Broncos and your stupid offensive line. My advice is to get out of Denver, folks. Stock is down in Denver. Stock is up in Minnesota right now. Stock is down in Miami. Stock is up in Carolina. There's some hidden value in Carolina, folks, outside of the tight end and the quarterback. You just got to play them on a flex week when you got to buy. It's the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge. It's the battle. 48 teams enter. All 48 win in some manner, but only one champion makes it to the end for the $300 and the Shaq Thompson jersey. We'll check you out at 10 o'clock for the C3 Podcast.
Peace out.